Now, South Africa's population reached a record high last year of more than 62 million people. Their census is a vital source of information for policy making, planning and research, and that's what has revealed those numbers. It offers insights on everything from marriage rates to language, and the first batch of the results produced a mix of anticipated as well as some surprising findings. This was particularly true for the Gauteng province. In Johannesburg, we found out that the city is now lagging behind the country's other major cities and is no longer rapidly growing. Dr. Darlington Mushongera is a senior researcher for poverty and inequality at the Gauteng City-Region Observatory. Thanks for making time for us, Dr. Mushongera. So the big question, I suppose, is, has Johannesburg really stopped growing, or are the numbers not numbering? What's not making sense in the census numbers?
Thank you so much, Clement. Like you have read in the article that we produced, that this is a startling result because we have known Gauteng and particularly Johannesburg to be a city that attracts people from all over the country, from all over the region, and from all over the world. And as such, one would expect the general trend for Gauteng and for Johannesburg to be showing an increase in the rate of population growth. But the census that has come out, the census 22, is showing a slowed growth, which we have said that if we are to believe the results, then this is a startling new reality that we have to examine to see what exactly is happening with Johannesburg. But essentially, that's what is shocking, that a city that attracts people, a city that traditionally draws multitudes, is beginning to slow down if the results are to be believed.
Yeah, because we've always known Johannesburg as a city that is overwhelmed by population growth, right? It's battling to even keep pace with the demand for housing, for services and infrastructure. So what do you think is the reason then for the recorded low population figures? Do you think there's a possibility here that perhaps even foreign nationals were not properly counted?
Yeah, so there are two things, Clement, that we might want to further interrogate. So the first one, obviously, is the data itself. You know, the veracity of the data itself, to say, is the data correct? If the data is correct, then we have a startling new reality. But the truth is that there may be possibilities of undercounting, as we have heard that this census, the undercount was very high. And some people may have been skipped by the census, and as a result, the data is not showing the true picture of what is actually the reality on the ground. But on the other hand, if we are saying that the result of a slow growth in Johannesburg or in Gauteng in general is a reality, then we need to look into what could be driving these issues. So you might find that maybe people are moving out of the city to go back to either their rural homes or finding opportunities elsewhere, like Cape Town, as we have seen that there's a movement for people from Johannesburg to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And maybe because of the conditions that we have recently witnessed in Johannesburg, you know, in terms of service delivery, issues of safety, and things like that, that have seen, and also the economic downturn could have been a trigger to cause people to start moving away, particularly the middle class, moving away to find opportunities elsewhere. So that could be what could explain that slow growth.
So in other words, there's a possibility that these census results represent the outcome of perhaps a decade or so of weak economic growth and increased social insecurity. So maybe the numbers talk to that loss of appeal, you know, bringing reduced prospects for not just businesses, but even cultural innovation.
Yes, so because what we witnessed between 2011 and 2022, 2001 and 2011 census was that there was a huge growth. in terms of the population in the province. But now, between 2011 and 2022, we witnessed that slow growth. Now, 0.8 is just so slow compared to what is happening in other provinces. So it is possible that the city could be in a state of decline that we never thought would happen, but it's now happening as a result of some of the circumstances, the social aspects, the economic aspects, and even the security aspects. We have recent fires that have been happening, and all the decay that has been happening in the city could have caused some investment decisions by other people to move out of the city.
Yeah, but given the current economic climate, is this suggestion the strongest? When we look at the census results, that black Africans may actually be leaving Johannesburg, and maybe that explains their results, that maybe the city is not as rapidly growing as it used to be. Whether you look at as the reasons that you've outlined, the elderly perhaps are retiring early to the rural areas, children being sent homes to be raised by their grandparents, or maybe it's the middle class that is semigrating, where they're moving to these preferred parts of the country instead of emigrating. Given that the current economic, climate, people are trying to get to as many economic opportunities as possible, and Johannesburg is still a city with those opportunities. Could that be then the strongest suggestion given that context?
Yes, so we are in that kind of a situation in which we are witnessing those kinds of trends within the city. But what is really worrying us is that the rate of growth is the slowness of the growth, the magnitude is quite significant for us to believe that is the only reason of a decline in the population. So I think, of course, it's too early now because this is just the first batch of the data that has been released, and we still need to do more analysis on the data, on the full data set when it comes. But there are incidences or instances where we see people, particularly in the middle class, that are moving out of the city. And what we have noticed, what the example that we have given there of Bushbuckridge, right, in Mpumalanga, we knew that city to be, a city that actually is sending people to Johannesburg, to Gauteng. But of late, according to the data, there seems to be some growth in that area, which means there are more people that are going there. So these circumstances that we have outlined in the piece to say maybe people are there and semi-migrating to rural areas, or children being raised, or people changing employment and all that. That could be the factors or the forces behind this change in Johannesburg. But then our main worry is that the magnitude of the growth of Johannesburg is too low to be believed, and as a result, maybe other issues, especially with the data.
So if indeed the growth of Johannesburg has slowed down so significantly, what are the implications?
Oh, it's it is like it's a startling new reality for government to deal with, to say we are now beginning to see some changes in terms of the spatial changes in the city, because obviously the people that are migrating could be of different races, and the people that are moving in and out are of different cultures. What that means is that we are beginning to see some kind of change in terms of the spatial configuration of the population, the change in terms of the composition, because what we noted was like whites are moving to Cape Town, but we've also seen that Indians and colors are also moving out, and blacks. There are more blacks coming into Gauteng. It is going to kind of reconfigure the hierarchy of racial integration in Johannesburg and in Gauteng in particular, in general. So there's going to be that change. and the new reality that we will be observing from now on.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Dr. Darlington Mushongera.